Okay, part two. During all this time, when I did get back into my own profile stuff, I actually went and I was on my computer and I see a little trash can symbol up at the top left hand corner, which is the recycle bin, the trash bin, and I see a number one on it. I've never hit a delete button on anything in my life. Everything that I've captured, I still have captured. That's why all my stuff is buried so deep amongst itself. But when I clicked on the little one on the trash bin, what it was an email that Deb Huffman, while she was hacked in as me in my own profile, she was hacked in as me. She gave herself permission to send emails from her house as me that I don't even know that's being sent out and receive the responses as me. And I'm like, what the hell is this? So I took my phone to Office Max. And it costed me like $8 or $10 to get them to take that one message out of my instant messenger and put it on hard copy piece of paper. That's on The Truth Is Out, folks. It's already there. A lot of the evidence is already there. You just got to scroll back far enough to find it. Okay? Because while I had internet, I was extracting evidence and posting it. I don't have any internet now, so all I can find is what's on my SD cards that are mounted in my phones because I'm working off of two phones right now. One of them doesn't have any data in it. The other one has like 50 gigs of data in it. It kept filling up my SD card and my internal storage to the point I couldn't even take a screenshot. Couldn't even hit the like button. My ringer stops working when it gets that full. It's been like five or six times now. And every time it gets that full, I have to take it to somebody else to have them transfer from internal to external and to delete doubles and free up space any way that we can. Um, I've been hesitant to change the SD card because of all the media that's on this 32 gig, but this phone actually supports a 2 terabyte. So I'm getting ready when I can afford. I'm going to get a 2 terabyte SD card, and I shouldn't have that problem anymore. All my evidence will that I collect from then on will be in one place. I have somebody that's coming over to help me try to sort through things and put all my evidence in one place to where I can actually retrieve it better. But here's the sweet part. In the last 6 months or so, other people's been stepping forward that these people have been doing the exact same thing to. Okay. Now, during this whole time, there's a group called MAFA LLC. Rosemary Dalton, the president. She's been letting these people hide in these groups for 2 years. And I approached her multiple times. She said, "Oh, I didn't know they was in my groups." Bull crap. I've been approaching her multiple times over those 2 years, and she keeps saying, "I have to keep my friends close and my enemies closer." That's a lie, because if that was the case, I would be there because she was claiming I was her friend. But there was a slanderous group that came out when I put the Truth Is Out page up because the people I was exposing didn't want to be exposed. So they threw Becky Kimball under the bus again. That's who I was fighting with for the first year. And me and her was sabotaged against each other by Deb Huffman, Gary Kaufman, Cindy Allen Hammond slash Cindy Allen slash Cynthia Allen, the crook. We'll get to her in a little bit. She's the main crook in this. And Deb and Carrie hate her. They used her as a tool. And the other name I won't mention right now. Two of them was paid $300, according to my sources, to screw me over before she ever got here. Well, how Cindy got to my house was because she was supposed to be homeless in Detroit with her 3 grandchildren. I help people. I help homeless. I help victims. She's supposed to be an advocate working for us. Of course I want to help her. I used my house payment money and borrowed my mom's minivan to go pick this lady, I use that term extremely loosely, and her 3 grandchildren up. Now, I wasn't aware of this until a couple months later. She's telling a bunch of people down there that she's going to get me to marry her and all this stuff. So it all depends on who you talk to on the story from Cindy, because she told so many different ones to different people. She told a bunch of people I was going to marry her. She told a bunch of people, oh my God, he brought us out of homelessness in this big, beautiful house. And oh, I'm so grateful. I would do anything for him. And then she's telling another set of people that I'm beating her and beating her, abusing her, and manhandling her boys. Right? That's actually after she left here. She left here because I noticed a lot of things that bothered me, and I started calling her out on it. Okay. One of them was she said that she could afford the rent in this house because I was living in my unfinished attic and renting the downstairs out, so I didn't lose my house. Okay. And she told me that, oh, yeah, I can afford it. I've been an EMT for over 30 years. I'll hit the ground running. I'll be able to get a job that day, the whole 9 yards. And my parents are going to help me out anyway. And I do know that her adoptive parents are loaded. So when she said they was going to help her with her traveling expenses and until she could get on her feet, I wasn't worried about spending my house payment on going to pick her up. Then she sits here for 2 months and doesn't do a damn thing but get as stoned as she can off of either pills or heroin. I'm not sure which. I'm being told a few weeks ago that it was pills that she was getting from somebody up here at the bar. But before she came here, I know that it's been confirmed that she has a heroin habit. So I wasn't sure which of the two that it was. But for 4 days in a row, she couldn't even hold her own head up. She was slurring her words, couldn't speak. I actually lost one of my good pedo hunters because of her. She was calling him in the middle of the night and slurring her speech and trying to mac daddy on everybody. She's a complete whore. She tries to get down everybody's pants. She was definitely trying to get down my pants, and she's a disgusting, ugly pig. I want nothing to do with her in that way. I was trying to help her as an advocate because I thought she was an advocate. Boy, was I wrong. What she is, folks, she's a shill. She's not a government paid shill. She's a shill paid from the people, well, the highest mercenary shill as far as I'm concerned. This will come out. There's a lady named Jill. I don't know her last name because I wasn't on this case, but this will come out. She was working on this case with 2 other people, Becky Kimball and Lisa Ann Taylor, which is Lisa Alvarez now. Okay, they was all 3 working on this CPS case, and this guy actually molested his own child or children. I'm not sure. That's why I have to get with them. And he was supposedly attached to a pedophile ring. Now, them 3 supposedly had the cold cut evidence, or cut and dry evidence against him. Cindy was supposed to have had all this evidence in her possession and told Jill, I don't have no money to make it to court. Now, I'm not sure if she actually got a hold of Jill's credit card or her credit card numbers, but she ran Jill's credit card all the way up and maxed it out and took all of her money. Did not show up for court at all. And then since she didn't show up for court, the family court that day, there was some serious allegations about pedophilia and a pedophilia ring. And then all of a sudden nobody shows up with any evidence. The judge was pissed and gave the pedophile full custody of her children that day. And before that day, she had 65% custody of her children. And she lost 100% custody that day. And now she has no money. She's ruined, and she doesn't have her children. All because of Cindy running up her credit cards and not showing up to court with the evidence that she had in hand. Then I was told a couple of weeks later she's in a nice big fancy house with lots of money to spend. Wow. That tells me that the abuser, the pedophile, had to have paid her off. What other motive would she have had for that? So that evidence I don't have. I'm going to have to talk to Becky and Lisa on that one because I don't have that evidence. But I find that very, 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 very disturbing. That's the same kind of crap she was doing to me. When she was here at my house, she was sitting at the kitchen table, and I had her admin in all my groups because I didn't know at this time that she was crooked, okay? So she adds Lisa Taylor and tells her that all these are her groups go and add your people, and I see the same people being added right and left in all their different profiles of the people that I just got done having a war with for a year. I didn't want round two. I was done with them and when I done exposed them a year ago. Why the hell do I want to start over with that? So I got pissed. And she stirred the pot, handed me her phone, and walked out of the room. Went into her room. She must have been in there giggling like crazy. And then I see screenshots from her going to Becky saying, "Oh, Becky, I'm so sick that we're not friends anymore. It's all because of Phil. I'll get him locked up forever. I promise." I have that screenshot somewhere too. Now, here's the problem I got with her. She was claiming victim and all this stuff and pretending to help me rebuild my groups and all this. But a month or two before she even came here, there's this chat that was another Phil hater bubble that her and Paul Dubois and a few other people were in there working against me before she even got here. Okay, when The Truth Is Out Here page came up, which was a spoof of The Truth Is Out, that was just a completely draw attention and be slanderous. Two groups of people approached me. One of them was Rosemary Dalton, Moffat LLC. "Oh, I have to back away from you publicly because I can't have this coming back on my organization." And the same thing with Paul Dubois of Bikers United, Ride to Keep Our Kids Safe. Okay? I have some things about both of them groups to say. First, we'll start with Paul Dubois. Paul Dubois was supposed to be my brother. He was supposed to be my friend. Even though I knew there was things going on in his life that was very messed up, I stood behind him when nobody else did. Okay, let me explain. His son was in Taney County Jail for some kind of sex charges, statutory rape charges, okay? Paul told me at that time that his son was being set up by Taney County because of all the, because his son was trying to uncover all of their corruption. So he was set up and that was a total farce and lie. So what I told Paul was, and his son had been being medically neglected for over 3 months. So when I seen the pictures of his son, he actually had lesions on his wrist. One of them was a hole so deep, looks like you could put your index finger in it all the way up to your first knuckle, okay? And that bothered me because they wasn't giving him any medical attention. And I found out it was called a flap infection, which is a super staph infection that's highly resilient to antibiotics. And if it's untreated, it can be deadly. And it's contagious. So here, and I'm being told by other parents too, that their kids in there caught this. So there's at least 3 people I know of that claim to have had this going on. And you're not allowed to do any visits in Taney County except for through video chat, okay? So when I saw these pictures of this kid, and he's not even being allowed to see his family and all that stuff, it kind of bothered me. So what I told Paul was, "Paul, since this kid didn't have his day in court yet, I will do everything I can to help you. But if he's found guilty, I'm going to wash my hands because I'm not going after pedos and protecting them at the same time. I protect the children, not the pedos." And he understood that. Okay. Well, since then, guess what? His son was found guilty, convicted of 10 years. It was a felony charge, and that tells me with a 10-year conviction, that wasn't just, I have to back up. He also told another person that, they were both underage. He was 17 and so was she. If that was the case, it would not have been a 10-year sentence if they was both minors. Look it up. There's statutes for every different age group. And if they was both minors, it would have been a slap on the wrist for him. That would have been a misdemeanor, okay? But since it was a felony and he got convicted of 10 years, that tells me there was really a victim, folks. So yes, Paul Dubois of Bikers United, Ride to Keep Our Kids Safe, lied to me about his son being a pedophile. And then he told somebody else, they were both underage. And then when I outed that publicly, he said, out there publicly, That I didn't raise that kid. He didn't grow up in my house. I didn't have nothing to do with that. He's wrong. I talked to a certain somebody that has known him since before his kids were born. Jesse did grow up in his house. He did raise him. Well, apparently he didn't raise him because kids still ain't rose. He's out there being a pedophile. So, Paul, if he was living at your house, maybe you should have raised him. Maybe you should have been writing to keep kids safe from your pedophile kid instead of calling yourself the president of an organization that puts kids first, like you claim. Ride to keep other people's kids safe from your pedophile, dude. That completely discredited you in my eyes. And when I met Paul, he was telling me he was dying from cancer, from all the toxic waste dumping in California. I found out later that's a lie. He's not dying of anything. He don't have no damn cancer. So a month or two ago, I see him doing a GoFundMe for his wife now, who supposedly has cancer. I don't know if she does or if she doesn't. But I went right on that GoFundMe, and I said, well, you've lied about your cancer. Are you lying about this too? You know, what's the real deal here? I think he's scamming the GoFundMe. I cannot prove that, so I'm not going to put that out there like it's fact, because I can't prove that. That's just a strong suspicion that I have. But I did ask that question, and he got all pissy at me and all that crap. Okay, now get this. The flooding just happened down there where they're at, and Paul Dubois put out this big old statement, oh, FEMA, you got to come and help everybody because we're almost out of money. We got to feed ourselves. And then he says, oh, I got the answer. I'm going to put up a GoFundMe so I can save this whole community. I sent him a text message and said, oh, I see you're trying to do another GoFundMe scam. And I didn't go on that GoFundMe and say a word. What I said is, you better hope it's not paying out to you because your credibility isn't that great. And if you're scamming another GoFundMe, it will come out, Paul. So I haven't received any kind of answer from that. But I'm real curious to see if he set up a GoFundMe for the flood victims. And I'm real curious to see who it pays out to. Because if he did, I bet it pays out to his crooked ass. So that's worth investigating, and I plan on investigating it. I'm not putting it out there as truth because I'm just checking it out at this point. You know what I mean? So I do have a problem with Paul Dubois hiding in the shadows. When Cindy was at my house, I got her 2 jobs, and she worked for about 2 weeks, and she was telling me, oh, I can get caught up with this rate. I'm making $12 an hour while I'm cooking. And then the other job I got her, she was making $9 an hour and plus tips and all this, and I'll just keep my tips and pay you the paychecks until I get you caught up. She had me 20 days from foreclosure, folks, on my house because she was telling me she could afford it and then wasn't getting off her ass to do a damn thing. She's telling me, oh, I've been an EMT for over 30 years. I can get a job running. She couldn't even get a job drawing blood, folks, without going to school for it. Really? So I got her 2 jobs. She kept them for 2 weeks, and I guess working wasn't in her plan because she told everybody at work, that people that I know, it's my neighbor's mother-in-law, my mother's son's mother-in-law works there, and her son is a Lincoln County drug dog cop. Okay, not the son-in-law, her actual son is a Lincoln County drug dog cop. So I hear after Cindy moves out of my house into my secretary's house and did it in a very sneaky way over 4th of July, her kids went to spend the night for a couple nights with my secretary's son. Cool, I got no problem with that. And then when we went down there for 4th of July, she told me, oh, Pam wants me to stay for a couple of days and help her with some stuff. That was a complete fucking lie. Excuse the French. She had no intention of coming back. She just didn't have the balls to tell me she was moving out because she told everybody at her work that I was beating her, abusing her, and manhandling her boys. Okay? And that's why she actually snowed my secretary. She wasn't my secretary at the time, but she actually snowed her into letting her come and live at her house with her and her family. She screwed them over too, folks, in a very bad way. Stole from all of them, stole my secretary's pills. She stole money from me. She stole pills from me that were legal prescription pills. I take Xanax. I get Xanax legally, and I've noticed a lot of those coming up missing. I didn't notice all this until after she was gone. Now she's down there, and she's ripping her off. She stole her son's Carhartt coat. She stole. She went and got a laptop and 2 tablets and used my secretary's name as a reference because my secretary's credit's good when she was planning on moving out of state a week later. She had no job. She had no income, no way to pay for anything. And she goes and uses my friend's good credit and her good name to get what she wants so she can bolt state with some stuff. That's crap. I actually gave Aaron Rentz back one of the tablets because it ended up being left at Pam's house when Pam finally had enough and told her, "You got to go." So what does she do? She contacts the battered women's shelter because she knows how to play the system. She knows that when you go to a battered women's shelter, they put you on the front of the list for housing and you get all of the free resources that they can throw at you. But before that happened, when she was still at Pam's house and I heard these allegations about me being physically and verbally and mentally abusive to them, I called the police. And I sent the police to Pam's house to do a welfare check on them boys. And I told them what the allegations were, and I asked them to actually ask those questions to the kids. Did I ever lay a hand on them or their grandma? Was I abusive towards them in any way? And of course the answer was no. And I asked the cop for a police report, and he said, "I'm not doing a police report because it was unfounded, but there's going to be an incident report because there's an incident report of everything." So that is documented that I did send the police there myself personally because once she moves out of state on me, there's no way that I could disprove those allegations. Then I would just be guilty in everybody's eyes. There's no way I was going with that. So anyway, after this, she moves into the battered woman's shelter. She actually left herself logged in to the computer that I was letting her use at my house. So I saw all of this going on in real time. Her messenger was wide open, and I was seeing word for word what was happening on real time. I got accused of hacking and stuff after that. I don't know how to hack, folks. Anybody that knows me knows that. That dumbass left her Facebook open, and all I was guilty of is taking pictures of her computer screen with my camera. I didn't post nothing, didn't touch no buttons on there, nothing. Just wiggled a mouse and poof, it all popped up and came to life. So she goes to this battered woman's shelter, and she's telling them even that I'm stalking her in there, which was a complete lie. And then I see she says, "Oh, they just asked me if I'd be willing to accept a transfer to Oklahoma City. Oh, that's 5 miles from my boyfriend's house. Oh, how awesome is that?" That pisses me off. She used a system that's supposed to help battered women for her own personal agenda. Okay? Now she goes down there, and in her own messenger, she's all put off that she had to go in there and sign paperwork to say, "Yeah, I'm here, and yeah, I'm checking myself out." So she was all put off that she had to go in there for 5 minutes and make it official. Her boyfriend came and picked her up. Jackie Lee Chambers. Supposed to be an attorney, folks. No, guess what? He's a criminal. He sold a bunch of cocaine to a bunch of minor children. Several minor children testified at his trial. Okay, he got sentenced 10 years federal time. Here's the problem that I don't understand. When you get federal time, you have to do minimum 85% of your time because the Fed has no parole system. Anybody that knows anything about the law knows this. What I want to know is when the guy got sentenced 20 years, why in federal time, why did he only serve 10? That's a good question. Now, I do know they're of Jewish descent, and his father just died. So that leads me to believe that he just inherited a bunch of old school money, old school Jewish money, from what I'm understanding. The guy's filthy, stinking rich. When we looked him up, he's got multiple houses, but I found the address that Cindy was at. I drove to Oklahoma City, to Edmond, Oklahoma, to that gated community that I didn't have a password for and waited for somebody to come out the exit, and I drove in the exit. And I went to the house, and I took pictures of the house. And I went to CPS myself because somebody had already made the 800 number call. So I went there myself and presented them with all of the evidence that I had against Cindy. I don't know what they did. My ploy was for those children to be removed. And here's why. I have a voice recorder. I haven't found it in the last 2 weeks. It's here somewhere. But I have a voice recorder with a bunch of people explaining to me what was going on, and that she was actually talking to the pimps in Detroit before she ever came here. She was selling her ass on Backpage, also talking to all the drug dealers, and bringing her two older grandchildren with her, the two 14-year-olds, bringing them with her, introducing them to these pimps and stuff and drug dealers. I'm not okay with that. Now she goes moving in Jackie Lee Chambers' house, and I hear a rumor, and I hear it from somebody that's not credible, but had given me all kinds of real, true information. The only way she could have gotten this information was to be fed this information by Cindy. But she came at me like Cindy helped get her daughter into human trafficking by the same pimp that she was trafficked by, and by the same pimp that Cindy was supposedly trafficked by. Well, I later find out that's bullshit because I named her Paige Daniels because I changed her identity the best that I could. I bugged her out in the middle of the night because she's telling me that after she shot and killed this pimp in self-defense that just got done killing her daughter, and they was mentioning Cindy's name in the room while she was there, and I hate that bitch and all this. And she said she was in jail for 2 weeks and was found that it was self-defense. So they released her and all that stuff, supposedly. Now, none of this is anything that I'm able to check up on because she's a trafficking survivor that's supposedly been trafficked in 7 different countries internationally and all this stuff, and she's being protected by the survivors and all this stuff. It's underground. No way that I can check into this. How convenient. Okay, so anyway, she sends me on a couple wild goose chases. Paige Daniels, her real name is Lisel Karon Schneller. Okay, and she used a very good advocate / anon. That's a very powerful anon that I know was working with Cindy at the time because I was seeing it in real time on this computer. So that's the only way she was able to get this name of this specific anon to throw at me and another friend of mine that was doing some investigating. And that's what helped validate her story because I knew this anon at that time was out to get me for Cindy. She's since seen that none of that's actually accurate. She's not out to get me anymore. But at the time, that validated the story of one Lisel Karon Schneller. So I bugged her out of Memphis, Tennessee in the middle of the night. I went to 10 different states taking pictures as if I was a tourist. So while I was bouncing her around from safe house to safe house, I could have her throw all these pictures up and make it look like she's in this state, and now she's in this state, and now she's in this state. I did that on my own dime, folks. I bought her a throwaway phone and paid for minutes for it, and I told her when she came to me, leave her tracking device at home, which she did not do. She brought that thing with her. So I had it in my P.O. box for 2 months because she's supposed to be an ex-wife of the main trafficker on the planet that has all these connections to have everybody assassinated and all this stuff. So I was scared to have that tracking device in my home with her in my home. I put it in my P.O. box, folks, for 2 months. Well, I was sent on 2 wild goose chases by her. One of them, which Woody Summers actually helped me pay for gas for. So I apologize to you, Woody, that you sent me a generous donation for gas that you did, only to be ripped off by a bullshit story that wasn't my bullshit story. I thank you for your help. If that was a real survivor that needed to be extracted from there, that was absolutely the right thing for me to do and absolutely the right thing for you to do. We did it for the right reason. I know you're on fixed income, brother. I know that hurt you, and I'm sorry. So then another wild goose when I still didn't realize that she was all set up too. I was told that one of the survivors, or one of the human trafficking victims, that the mother's been looking for 8 years, and I've been looking for 3 years, that's been being trafficked out of Peoria, Illinois, and Chicago, I was told that, oh, a couple of the survivors went and they got our girl. She's safe in the car. And they're going to get another one. They're going to get two. And I looked at her. I said, what the hell are you thinking? If you got one of them in the car, get them the hell out of there. Don't double dip. Then now you're endangering too many people. Go back and get the other one. Oh, no, they're so close. They're just going to grab the other one and go. Well, then an hour later, I hear, oh, gunshots started going off. One of my survivors got shot in the arm, and one of the victims, the male victim, got shot in the leg. So they told the two females, the other survivor and the other trafficking victim, they told them to scatter. So now here I'm thinking there's 4 survivors in Chicago, Illinois that need to be safe, that they need a safe way home, and there's gunfire erupting. Well, since I have a felony conviction for pot, I went up there unarmed. So I go into what's supposed to be hot gunfire zone unarmed so I can be a sitting duck decoy and draw fire so that these survivors can get the hell out of there in the underground. I go to the hospital that they mentioned, parked right in front of the damn thing, and walked in and talked to the head of security. His nickname is Cut Man because he works for boxers and he's a cut man for, when they get their eyes swelled up, he cuts them open. Anyway, that's on his name tag. That's what he goes by at work at the Chicago South Shore Hospital. If anybody has any doubt, they can call. I gave the man my business cards. I told him what was going on. I told him I came here unarmed into supposedly a gun zone where 2 victims have already been shot. So the reason I did that was because if gunshots started going off and I don't have a gun, I wanted this guy to come out and start shooting back for me. Trust and believe, he knows I was there and why I was there. He's already confirmed this with Becky Kimball, but anybody else is more than welcome to give him a call. It's the South Shore Hospital in Chicago, Illinois, and he's the head of security, and his name is Cutman. That's what they all know him by. So feel free to validate if you choose to, because it's absolutely true. But it was a lie. It was all just a setup. It was a wild goose chase, and she actually put my life in jeopardy with the motorcycle club. I won't mention their name, which I still haven't yet to this day. I called Bob Smith and told him about the situation, the allegation that I was told that this motorcycle club was trafficking my victim. And I wanted to handle it in the peaceful way because I live by the biker code. And so I said, hey, man, is there any way that we can arrange a peaceful release? No cops, no retribution, even if we have to purchase this victim. You know what I'm saying? I was willing to do it the right way to not cause any kind of repercussions. All of a sudden, that blows up in my face, and Bob Smith starts blowing it out there on Facebook. What motorcycle club that I supposedly accused of running a traffic ring, and now they're out to get you because they're not running no traffic ring and all this kind of crap. That was all because of Paige Daniels / Lisel Karon Schneller. I'm pissed. I don't know if my life's really in danger or if Bob Smith's running a game on me too, because I was told by my one of my people in New Jersey, one of my very important board members, that Bob Smith is connected with Cindy. That makes a lot of sense. Cindy was paid to come and sabotage me along with another